At just 37 years old, Alexander Cole was living a life most people could only dream about. He wasn't just rich, he was filthy rich. Mansions, he had 3. Cars, enough to start a dealership. Companies, too many to count. If wealth had a face, it would be his. His main house, his palace, looked like something straight out of a movie. It had 12 bedrooms. Don't ask me why he needed that many when he slept in only one. 2 swimming pools, a cinema with leather seats that could make you forget you were broke, and of course an elevator because walking up the stairs was apparently beneath him. From the outside, his life looked perfect. From the inside, not so much. Behind those tall glass walls, Alex was drowning in silence. No kids running around, no wife calling his name, no warm laughter echoing down the hallways. Just emptiness. He had tried dating, oh yes, but every woman he met seemed to have a PhD in gold digging. Some didn't even hide it. One girl told him, "If you marry me, I'll need a house and a car first." Another one said, "I'll only date you if you promise to give me designer clothes every month." One even asked if she could have an allowance, like he was her sugar daddy. Alex was disgusted. He felt like a human ATM machine. Nobody loved him. They loved his credit cards, so he gave up. Stopped dating. Locked his heart away and lived in quiet misery. One lonely evening, while stabbing his fork into a lonely steak at his 20-seater dining table. Yes, 20 seats for one man, because why not? Alex turned to his only true friend and personal assistant, Michael. "I'm tired, Mike," Alex muttered, staring into his wine glass like it had answers. "I'm tired of fake people, fake smiles and fake love. I just want one thing, a woman who loves me for me." Michael nearly choked on his food. "With all due respect, boss, good luck with that. You're Alexander Cole. The man is practically walking dollar signs. You're not going to find someone who sees your heart before they see your wallet." Alex tapped the table, thinking hard. Then suddenly his eyes lit up. "What if I become someone else? What if I throw away this billionaire image for a while and live as an ordinary man?" Michael's fork dropped with a loud clank. "Wait, what? You want to go broke on purpose?" "Not broke, Mike. Just undercover," Alex smirked. "I'll disguise myself. No designer suits, no cars, no mansion. I'll dress like a beggar, disappear into the streets for a while. Let the world treat me like nothing. If someone can love me when I'm at my lowest, then I'll know it's real." Michael stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "Boss, you want to downgrade from caviar to soaked bread?" "Exactly." Alex grinned, strangely excited. "For once, I want to see life from the other side." That night, he packed a small bag. He left behind his Rolexes, his black cards, and his collection of Italian suits. Instead, he grabbed old worn-out clothes, a faded blanket, and cheap slippers that looked like they were older than him. He even rubbed dirt on his face until he looked like someone who had just escaped a construction site. Standing at the giant front door of his mansion, Alex whispered, "Goodbye, old life. Hopefully, I'll return with a new heart." The next morning, he boarded a public bus, his first bus ride in 15 years. He traveled to a forgotten part of the city, where the buildings looked like they needed therapy, and the streets smelled like sweat and roasted corn. He found a corner by a dirty alley, sat down and placed a rusty tin cup in front of him. For the first time, Alexander Cole, the billionaire everyone admired, was invisible. People walked past him like he didn't exist. Some gave him side eyes. A few covered their noses like poverty was contagious. Others whispered, "Young man like this begging? Shame." At night, he slept under a bridge with other homeless men. The cold ground bruised his back. Rats played Olympics around him, and the cars above roared like thunder. He couldn't sleep, but he didn't quit. This, he whispered to himself, is real life. If I can survive this, I can survive anything. By the 4th day, Alex was weak. His lips were cracked, his hands trembled, and his stomach was making music like a broken drum. He leaned against a wall, holding his rusty cup. Every passing face looked at him with either disgust or pity, but nobody stopped. Until... "Hello?" Weakly, "I haven't eaten today." The girl frowned, then sighed, opening her small purse. "I don't have any money right now, but wait here. Please don't go. I'll bring you food. Just give me a little time." Alex blinked, shocked. People had thrown insults at him for days, and here was a stranger ready to run home and cook for him. "You'll really come back?" he asked quietly. She smiled. "Yes, my name's Sandra. Don't forget, I'll be back." And with that, she sprinted off. Alex watched her disappear, and to his own surprise, a tear slipped down his cheek. For the first time in days, he felt seen. 15 minutes later, Sandra returned, panting, holding a small black nylon bag. "I'm sorry I took so long," she said, placing it in his hands. "It's rice with stew and a little fish. I cooked it this morning. Eat." The smell hit his nose, and his stomach growled like a wild animal. Without hesitation, Alex dug in with his hands, eating like he hadn't seen food in weeks. Sandra sat beside him on the dirty ground. "Slow down," she chuckled softly. "No one is fighting you for the food." When he was done, Alex looked at her with watery eyes. "Thank you. You don't know what this means to me." "You're welcome," she replied simply. Then after a moment, she asked, "Where do you sleep at night?" Alex hesitated. "Under the bridge." Sandra gasped. "No, you can't stay there. It's dangerous. People steal, people fight, bad things happen. You'll get hurt." He shrugged. "I have nowhere else." Sandra stood up, determination flashing in her eyes. "Wait here. I'll go ask my father. Maybe he'll let you sleep in our compound, but..." She sighed. "My family is complicated." "Complicated how?" Alex asked. "My father married my mother years ago, but because she didn't have a child early, he married another woman, my stepmother." She paused, bitterness in her voice. "The second wife gave birth first, so my father worships her like she's some queen. Then later, my mom gave birth to me, but my father still treats her like she's invisible." Alex frowned. "That's not fair." Sandra nodded sadly. "It isn't. My mom works like a maid in her own house. She cooks, cleans, prays for everyone, but she's treated like nothing. Sometimes I hear her crying at night, but she still smiles during the day." Her voice cracked a little, but she forced a smile. "Don't worry. If I tell her about you, she'll understand. She's too kind for her own good." Before Alex could speak, Sandra was already hurrying off toward her house. His heart pounded, not because of hunger anymore, but because for the first time, he had met someone who showed kindness without asking for anything in return. Sandra couldn't get the image of the skinny, tired-looking man out of her head. The way he sat on the street, eye sunken, hand trembling, but still polite, was haunting her. She slipped quietly through the back door of their compound and into the small kitchen. Her mother was there, chopping vegetables with the precision of someone who had been doing it all her life. Her mother glanced up. "Sandra, why are you breathing like you just ran from the police? Where have you been?" "Mom," Sandra said, catching her breath, "I met someone. A man. He's poor, really poor. He looks hungry and sick. He sleeps on the street. I gave him food, but I don't want to leave him there. Can we let him stay here? Just for a few days?" Her mother stopped chopping and turned slowly, staring at her daughter like she had grown two heads. "You want to bring a total stranger into this house? A man you just met? Sandra, are you out of your mind? What if he's dangerous? What if he kills us in our sleep? What's his name?" Sandra bit her lip. I don't know." Her mother almost dropped the knife. "So let me understand. You don't know his name, his background, or his story, but you're ready to set him up in our house like some guest of honor?" Sandra stepped closer, her voice pleading. "But, Mom, you always tell me kindness is never wasted. You always say God blesses people who help the helpless. Should I just walk away and pretend I didn't see him?" Her mother sighed heavily and sat on a stool. "Where exactly did you see this man?" "By the junction," Sandra said quickly. He was sitting on the floor, shaking like he was about to collapse. I gave him some food, and you should have seen his face. Mom, he looked like someone who hasn't eaten a proper meal in weeks. Please. We even have a small empty room by the backyard. He can stay there, just for a while. Her mother rubbed her forehead, torn between fear and compassion. Finally, she muttered, "Is he an old man?" "No," Sandra replied softly. "He's young, maybe in his 30s, but his body looks weak, Mom, very weak." Her mother thought for a moment, then sighed. "Fine. Let him come, but don't you dare mention this to your father. If he finds out, he'll not only throw that man out, he'll also insult me in front of the entire neighborhood. You know how he listens to your stepmother more than he listens to his own brain." Grace's eyes widened. "Really? You mean it?" "Yes," her mother said firmly. "We'll hide him in the empty room near the backyard. But listen carefully, Sandra. This is not a joke. He cannot walk around during the day. No wandering, no noise, no friendly hellos to the neighbors. If anything goes wrong, your father will not spare me. Do you understand?" "I promise, Mom," Sandra said quickly. "You won't regret it." Her mother muttered. "For my own peace, you better be right." Sandra didn't waste another second. She dashed out of the house and back to the junction. The man, Alexandra, though she had no idea who he really was still there, leaning weakly against the wall. "You're still here," Sandra said with relief. He looked up slowly. "You said you'd come back. I told you I'd wait." "Come with me," Sandra whispered. "I spoke to my mother. You can stay with us, but only in a small room at the back. There are rules, though. You can't be seen during the day. My father doesn't know. If he finds out, it will be trouble." Alexandra blinked, stunned. "You're serious?" Sandra nodded. "Yes, let's go before someone sees us." They walked together under the fading evening sky until they reached her compound. Sandra unlocked the gate and led him quietly through the back, past the kitchen, until they reached a small, empty room. It wasn't much, just a bare floor, a tiny window, and a wooden door. But compared to the cold bridge, it was paradise. Her mother was already waiting at the doorway, arms folded. She eyed him carefully. "So, this is the man?" "Yes, Mom," Alexandra said softly, bowing his head. "You can stay here," her mother said firmly. "But remember, no noise, no wandering, no conversations with anyone else. Understand?" "Yes, Mom, I understand." Sandra's mother sighed. "Sandra, get him water, soap and a wrapper. I'll bring a mat and food later." Sandra ran inside. She came back with the items and handed them over. Alexandra held them silently, his eyes watering. "God bless you both," he whispered. "I don't even know how to thank you." "You can thank us by resting," her mother replied. "You look like death warmed up. Get some strength back." That night, Alexandra bathed quietly in the tiny back bathroom, away from curious eyes. Later, Sandra's mother brought him a plate of steaming rice and stew. He ate slowly, every bite tasting like heaven. Then he lay on the mat, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in many days, he felt safe. Inside the main house, Sandra sat on her bed, restless. Something about him gnawed at her. He didn't sound like other beggars. His words were too clear, too polished, too educated. His eyes carried stories she couldn't place. She whispered to herself, "Who are you really?" The next morning, Alexandra woke up early. The house was quiet. Birds chirped outside. A rooster crowed in the distance. He looked around the small room and smiled faintly. It wasn't luxury, but it was warm, and it came with kindness, something his billions never gave him. A soft knock pulled him from his thoughts. "It's me, Grace," whispered a voice. He opened the door slightly. Sandra stood there holding a tray of breakfast, bread, boiled egg, and hot tea. "Good morning," she said with a shy smile. Good morning, he replied, taking the tray with gratitude. Thank you so much. She stepped inside and perched on a small stool. Did you sleep well? I haven't slept that well in a long time, Alexandra admitted. Sandra smiled softly. Good. I hope the room isn't too hot. Sometimes the air doesn't flow in well. It's perfect, he said. It's more than I deserve. He ate quietly, and though silence filled the room, their eyes kept meeting. Finally, Sandra asked, Why were you on the street? What happened to you? Alexandra froze. He couldn't reveal the truth yet, so he sighed and said, tearfully, Life turned upside down. I lost everything I had. Sandra lowered her eyes. I'm sorry. You don't have to be, he said gently. You've already done more for me than anyone else has in years. She smiled faintly, though her eyes looked troubled. I just wanted to help. And she did. More than she could imagine. But trouble was brewing. For 2 days, Sandra and her mother managed to keep the secret safe. They sneaked Alexandra food and water, always careful to avoid being caught. But in a house filled with too many eyes, secrets don't last long. Her stepsister Janet had started watching her like a hawk. She noticed Sandra sneaking out in the mornings and evenings, carrying trays of food or buckets of water. Janet whispered to her mother, Madame Stella, with a sly smile. Mama, Sandra's hiding something. She keeps sneaking to the back of the house like she's meeting someone. Madame Stella narrowed her eyes. That useless girl. What can she possibly be hiding? Don't tell me she's sneaking food for the neighbor's goats. Janet smirked. Not goats, Mama. A man. Madame Stella's spoon clattered to the floor. A what? Yes, Janet said firmly. I think there's a man hiding in this compound. Let's keep watching her. In 2 days, I'll find out. Madame Stella's lips curled into a wicked smile. Perfect. That girl and her mother think they're clever. We'll see how clever they are when I drag their secret into the light. That night, as Sandra crept toward the small backyard room with food, she had no idea a pair of eyes was already watching her every move. Janet, her stepsister, spotted her from afar and narrowed her eyes. This girl is too generous with food these days. Who is she feeding? The ghost of her ancestors? She muttered to herself. Sandra tiptoed back into her room like a guilty cat. As soon as she disappeared, Janet smirked and crept toward the back door. She waited, ears sharp like a rat listening for crumbs. When the coast was clear, she knocked softly on the small wooden door. Sandra, she whispered sweetly, sugar dripping from her lips. Inside, Alexandra Cole, still in disguise, hiding under ragged clothes, had just finished eating. His stomach was happy, his heart calmer. Thinking it was Sandra bringing more food, he opened the door with a gentle smile. But his smile died instantly. It wasn't Sandra. It was Janet, leaning on the doorframe with folded arms and a wicked grin stretched across her painted lips. So it's true, Janet said slowly, her voice thick with sarcasm. This is where all the food and water in this house has been vanishing. Not to rats, but to a man. Alexandra's eyes widened, his first instinct to apologize. I'm sorry, please, I'll leave right now. I didn't mean... Shut up, Janet hissed, barging inside like she owned the place. She slammed the door shut and locked it. Alexandra stepped back, confused and cautious. What do you want? He asked. Janet moved closer, licking her lips dramatically like she had just seen roasted chicken. What do I want? You. Just look at you. Fine skin, bright teeth, strong arms. Even in rags you smell like heaven. I want to kiss you. No, I want more than that." Alexandra blinked. "What?" "You heard me," she whispered. "If you don't want me to tell my father, then you must sleep with me, right here, right now." Alexandra's mouth dropped open. "Are you insane? You don't even know me. That's disgusting. You're cheap." That word stabbed Janet's pride. Her face twitched. "Cheap? Call it whatever you want. I'm in the mood, and I'll get what I want. Touch me tonight, and your secret is safe." Alexandra glared. "You're shameless. Loose. You seriously need help." The insult burned her skin. Her pride couldn't handle it. So, in a flash, she let out a piercing scream. "Daddy! Help! There's a stranger in my room! He wants to do bad things to me!" Alexandra's heart stopped. "What are you doing?" Within seconds, the compound erupted. Sandra's father stormed in with a long cane in his hand, face red with rage. Madame Stella, Sandra's wicked stepmother, ran behind him, shouting like a market woman. Janet was already on the floor, rolling fake tears down her cheeks like an actress auditioning for an Oscar. "There he is," Janet cried. "This stranger tried to touch me. He wanted to kiss me." Sandra's father's nostrils flared. You snake. You entered my house to steal and touch my daughter. You'll meet your ancestors today." He charged forward, swinging the cane. Alexandra blocks it with his arm, but fell backward. "Daddy, stop!" Sandra screamed, rushing out with her mother. "He didn't do anything." "Keep quiet," her father barked. "This is the stranger you've been hiding?" "Yes," Sandra admitted, trembling, "but he's innocent. Janet is lying." "Lying?" Madame Stella cut in, pointing at Sandra with venom in her eyes. "So you've been sneaking food to a man behind your father's back. Shameless child, just like your useless mother." Alexandra rose slowly, his voice calm but firm. "Sir, I am not a thief. Sandra and her mother only helped me. I never touched your daughter. I've done nothing wrong." "You think I'll believe you?" Sandra's father thundered. "You came into my house like a snake. Tonight, you'll learn a lesson." He raised the stick again, but Sandra's mother stepped forward, blocking him. "Please, hear the truth." "Move aside, woman," Madame Stella snapped, pushing her away. "You brought shame into this house. Your daughter is defending a filthy beggar. Both of you are disgraceful." Sandra ran to Alexandra, holding his hand tightly. Tears streamed down her face. "Don't worry, I won't let them hurt you." Her father's eyes darkened. "So you're now fighting me because of this dirty man?" "He's not dirty," Sandra shouted, her voice breaking. "He's the kindest person I've ever met." Janet clutched her chest, sobbing like a professional actress. "He touched me. He wanted to kiss me. He... Liar!" Sandra cut her off. "You're a liar!" The neighbors had already gathered by the fence, whispering and pointing fingers. Her father turned to Alexandra. "You have 10 minutes to leave my house, or I'll call the police." But before Alexandra could move, Sandra stepped in front of him, her voice steady despite the tears. "No. If he leaves, I'm leaving with him." The entire compound gasped. Her father's jaw dropped. "What did you just say?" "You heard me," Sandra repeated, trembling but firm. "If he leaves, I go with him." Her mother walked forward and held Sandra's hand. "And I will go with my daughter. Since I'm not welcome here, it's better we leave." Her father laughed mockingly. "Good riddance. Go with your beggar. I always knew you and your daughter were shameless. That boy has been sleeping with both of you." Sandra's mother's eyes widened in fury. "How dare you? You think you're a man? You've treated me like a slave for years while your so-called classy wife parades around. But not anymore." Madame Stella clapped her hands dramatically. "Ken, go. Go, you local woman. This house was never for your kind." Sandra's mother smiled bitterly. "You're right. This house isn't mine. Thank God for that." She turned to Sandra. "Go and pack a few things. We're leaving now." Sandra ran inside, her tears replaced with determination. She packed a small bag, adding some of her mother's belongings. Alexandra quietly carried a box as they walked out. "Don't ever come back," her father shouted after them. "You'll regret this." But Sandra never looked back. Her mother held her hand high, walking with dignity. Alexandra followed silently, his heart heavy with guilt, but touched by their courage. 30 minutes later, they reached a quiet neighborhood at the edge of town. Sandra's mother stopped at a rusty iron gate. Behind it stood an old but strong house. "This was my father's house," she said softly. Sandra looked around in shock. "I thought this place was abandoned." "It was, but now God brought you here," her mother whispered. The three of them stepped inside. The walls were cracked, the roof was rusty, but the air felt free. For the first time, they were no longer prisoners of Madame Stella's cruelty. Sandra hugged her mother. "I'm proud of you, Mom." "No, my daughter," her mother said, wiping her tears. "I'm proud of you. You stood by a stranger when the world turned against him. That takes courage." Alexandra sat on a worn-out bench, staring at both of them. His heart ached. They left everything for me. A man they think is just a beggar. Later that night, Alexandra stepped outside, looking at the stars. He had more money than the world could imagine, yet he had never felt this kind of peace before. For once, he wasn't a billionaire. He was just a man. And they loved him anyway. Back in the city, Alexandra Cole had a mansion that could make a king jealous. 12 bedrooms nobody slept in, a private chef who cooked dishes he never finished, and plates made of real gold, not the fake shiny ones you see in the market. On the outside, he had everything, but inside, empty, cold, lifeless. And yet here he was, sitting in a broken plastic chair under a leaking roof with 2 women, Sandra and her mother, laughing like he was in paradise. Imagine that, Alexandra thought with a smirk. I left a house full of chandeliers, and I feel more at home in this cracked 2-room hut. Money is sweet, yes, but love, that one is sweeter than honey. He whispered to himself, smiling, I came here looking for love, but I think I found something even bigger, a family. Days rolled by, and life in that old house took on a rhythm. Morning chores together, sweeping the compound, patching up broken walls with mud, laughing when the broom snapped in half. Sandra's mother started selling vegetables in the market again. Sandra assisted during the day. And Alexandra, still pretending to be a poor man, took up small jobs around the neighborhood, cutting grass, fetching water, helping fix doors and windows. People paid him peanuts, but he didn't care. For the first time, he felt useful. And though they had almost nothing, they had peace. No Madame Stella screaming at them, no Janet pretending to faint for attention, just laughter, food, even if it was mostly Gary and soup watered down with prayers, and peace. One cool evening, after dinner, Alexandra and Sandra sat under the big mango tree in their compound. The crickets were singing back up, and the moon was acting like a dim spotlight. Sandra leaned her head gently on his shoulder. "Thank you for staying," she whispered. Alexandra looked at her, his heart thumping like a faulty generator. "I didn't really have a choice," he said softly. "From the very first day you gave me food, I felt something real." Sandra smiled shyly. "I felt it too, even when I didn't know your name. I just knew you weren't like other people." They sat in silence, their hearts saying more than words could. Then Alexandra turned, held her hand, and blurted out what he had been holding inside. "Sandra," he said in a trembling voice, "I love you." Sandra's eyes widened and tears filled them before she could blink. "I love you too," she confessed. "From the very first day. I just didn't know how to say it." Alexandra pulled her into his arms, hugging her like his life depended on it. That night, they spoke for hours. Dreams, fears, their pasts. Sandra confessed she still wished to finish school and become an engineer. Alexandra just smiled, his secret burning inside him. She still had no idea he wasn't the poor man she thought, but a billionaire heir with more money than some countries' budgets. 2 weeks later, Alexandra finally called Sandra and her mother into the sitting room. "I've made a decision," he announced, his tone serious. They both turned to him, nervous. "I can't keep living like this, eating your food and sleeping under your roof. If I truly want to marry Sandra, then I have to be a man. I need to go to the city, work hard, and prepare a life for us." Sandra's heart nearly fell to the floor. "The city? You're leaving?" "Yes," Alexandra said. "It's not goodbye, it's a promise. I'll come back for you." Sandra shook her head, tears already falling. "I don't want you to go." He reached for her hand. "Sandra, if I stay here, I'll be useless. Let me go and build something worthy of you. I swear I'll return." Her mother, who had been quiet, finally spoke. "My daughter, listen to him. He's a good man. If he stays here, what will you do? Let him go. Let's pray for his success." Sandra sniffled, torn apart. "Okay, but please don't break my heart." "I won't," Alexandra promised, holding her close. "You're the only one I have." The next morning, Alexandra packed his little bag. He wore the cleanest clothes Sandra had washed for him and polished the old slippers she gave him until they shined like they were made of leather. Before leaving, he hugged Sandra's mother tightly. "Thank you for everything." "Go well, my son," she said softly. "May God protect you." He turned to Sandra. She just stood there, tears streaming silently. He cupped her face and whispered, "I'll be back. I swear. You gave me a reason to live again." Sandra hugged him desperately. "I'll wait for you, no matter how long." He kissed her forehead gently, then walked away with his bag. Sandra stood at the gate long after he disappeared, staring at the road, refusing to blink, as though her gaze could pull him back. That evening, she sat at the doorway, staring at the moon. "Mama," she whispered, "what if he forgets me?" Her mother came beside her, rubbing her back gently. "He won't. You don't forget people who save you. Love is not about never being scared. It's about being brave, even when your heart is shaking." Sandra closed her eyes. "I miss him already." Her mother sighed. "So do I. But don't worry. If it's God's plan, nothing can stop him from coming back." Meanwhile, Alexandra returned to the city. The tall gates of his mansion opened wide. The polished marble floors gleamed and servants bowed. But everything looked different now. Empty. Meaningless. He walked into the living room where his father, Mr. Cole, was reading the newspaper. "Dad," Alexandra said. His father looked up, smiling.
"Son, where have you been all this time?"
Alexandra sat, his heart pounding. "I need to tell you everything." He began from the beginning. How he disguised himself as a poor man, how Sandra and her mother helped him when no one else would, how they left their home just to protect him, and how Sandra's love changed everything. Mr. Cole listened quietly, his sharp eyes never leaving his son. When Alexandra finished, Mr. Cole leaned back in his chair and nodded. "She stayed with you when you had nothing?" "Yes, Dad. She and her mother risked everything for me. They believed in me when I had nothing to offer." Mr. Cole smiled slowly. "Then she's the one. No more disguises. Let's go and meet her." The next day, a sleek, Black car rolled into Sandra's little village. Neighbors peeked from their windows as the shiny car stopped in front of the old compound. Sandra and her mother were outside, peeling cassava. The door of the car opened. Alexandra stepped out, looking like a completely different man. No more ragged clothes. He wore a tailored suit that screamed wealth. His hair was neat. His shoes shined like glass. Sandra froze, her mouth wide open. "Alexandra?" Her mother gasped, dropping the cassava knife. "My God, is that really him?" But Alexander wasn't alone. Behind him stepped Michael, his close friend, tall, elegant, dressed in rich native attire, his shoes shining so bright you could see your reflection. The two men looked like kings arriving at a palace. Sandra and her mother just stood there, paralyzed. Alexander smiled warmly. "Yes, it's me." Sandra's voice cracked. You look different. You look rich." "I am," he admitted softly. "And this," he gestured, "is my father." Mr. Cole came forward, his presence commanding respect. Sandra and her mother instantly fell to their knees. "You're welcome, sir," Sandra's mother said nervously. But Mr. Cole quickly lifted them up. "Please, stand. Don't kneel. I should be the one thanking you. My son told me everything, and I came here today because I wanted to see for myself the people who gave him true love." Sandra turned to Alexander, her heart racing. "So, your name is really Alexander Cole?" "Yes," he said. "And I'm sorry I hid it. I was tired of fake love. But you showed me something real. And now I want to marry you." Sandra gasped. "Marry me?" "Yes," Alexander said, stepping closer. "You saw me at my lowest and stayed. You believed in me when no one else did. I love you, Sandra, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Sandra covered her mouth, tears flowing. "I love you too. Yes, I'll marry you." Her mother burst into tears. Mr. Cole smiled and Michael clapped softly, grinning. But then Sandra, wiping her eyes, spoke bravely. "Alexandra, before anything, you need to see my father. As much as I hate what happened, he's still my father. You must meet him, take the marriage list, and do things the proper way." Mr. Cole nodded approvingly. "She's right, son. Culture is important." Alexandra smiled, holding Sandra's hand firmly. "Then so be it. Let's face him together." The afternoon sun was blazing, like it had a personal grudge against anyone sitting outside, when Alexander Cole and his father, Mr. Cole, finally made their way to Sandra's father's house. The plan was simple. Be polite, do the proper family introduction, collect the marriage list, and begin the wedding process. Easy, right? Wrong. Sandra's father was sitting in his usual spot under the old mango tree, his belly pushing against his faded t-shirt, sipping palm wine like it was oxygen. He didn't even bother to stand up when Alexander and Mr. Cole approached. Alexander greeted respectfully. Mr. Cole bowed slightly, and then the father of the bride narrowed his eyes like they'd just asked him for his ATM pin. Mr. Cole started politely, his voice smooth and respectful. "Sir, we have come to do the right thing. My son would like to marry your daughter Sandra. We're here to collect the marriage list and begin preparations." Sandra's father didn't even blink. He just leaned back in his chair, scratched his neck and said one word: "Never." Alexander almost choked. "Excuse me, sir?" "Never," the man repeated coldly, as if they just asked to buy his mango tree instead of his daughter's hand. Mr. Cole frowned. "Sir, may I ask why?" Sandra's father leaned forward, tapping the plastic table with his thick fingers like he was delivering a presidential speech. "In this house, Janet is the first daughter. Until Janet marries, Sandra cannot marry. It is our tradition. If your son is serious about marrying Sandra, then he must either marry both daughters, yes, both, or sit patiently until Janet finds a husband." Alexander blinked hard. "Wait, did you just say marry both?" "Yes," he said proudly, lifting his chin like he had just won an award for Best Father of the Year. "That is our way. The first daughter must marry first. If not, no wedding. That's how it's been done here for generations. Don't come with fine cars and money to change our customs. Mr. Cole nearly fell out of his chair. This is ridiculous. You want my son to pause his life, all because your eldest daughter is still waiting for Mr. Right to notice her existence? Sandra's father shrugged, like it was nothing. That's your problem, not mine. You either wait, or you walk. Alexandra shot to his feet, furious. So because of some outdated pride, you want to destroy true love? Seriously? But Sandra's father was unmoved. This is our tradition, period. At that very moment, Madame Stella and Janet, who had clearly been eavesdropping from inside, stepped out, smirks plastered on their faces. Madame Stella folded her arms like a general watching her soldiers conquer a battle. Well done, my husband. That girl Sandra, a nobody. She can't marry a billionaire, never. It is my daughter Janet that deserves that life. She's the true queen. Sandra's father puffed his chest. Of course, my love. Anything for you. Janet twirled her hair and smirked at Alexandra. He'll come back for me. You'll see. No man in his right senses will ignore me forever. Alexandra and Mr. Cole didn't bother replying. They simply turned and left, their footsteps heavy with anger. Inside the car, silence filled the air for a long stretch until Mr. Cole finally burst out. Imagine the nonsense. Telling my son to marry both daughters like we're at a clearance sale. Alexandra's jaw tightened. Dad, I love Sandra. I'm not marrying Janet or anyone else. I know, Mr. Cole said firmly, and I stand with you. We'll fix this. Then suddenly, Mr. Cole's face lit up like someone who just remembered where they hid money. Oh, wait a second. My old schoolmate, remember him? He's not just anybody now. He's a king. An actual king. Alexandra's head snapped. A king? As in crown, palace, guards, the whole package? Yes! We went to school together. His palace isn't far. Let's go and see him. If anyone can end this nonsense tradition, it's him. Without wasting time, they changed direction and drove to the royal palace. Now, this palace wasn't child's play. The walls were painted snow white with gold designs. Red tiles gleamed under the sun, and a massive flag waved proudly like it was taunting every poor man in the village. Guards in spotless uniforms saluted as the gates opened. A servant ran inside to announce their arrival. Moments later, the king himself appeared, dressed in a flowing robe with gold embroidery, his staff glittering under the sun. He looked every inch the ruler. Mr. Cole stepped forward, his eyes lighting up. Your Royal Majesty! The king squinted for a second, then burst out laughing. Cole? Is that you? Mr. Cole laughed back, rushing to embrace him. It's me, old friend! They hugged like two school friends who hadn't seen each other in years. The king grinned. Wow, look at you. It's been decades. What brings you to my palace? Mr. Cole gestured to Alexandra. This is my son, Alexandra. He wants to marry a beautiful girl from this village. But her father is blocking the marriage, saying Sandra cannot marry because she is the second daughter. Apparently the first must marry first. The king froze, then laughed so hard he nearly dropped his staff. Who told you that nonsense? That useless tradition was abolished 2 years ago. It caused too many problems, girls waiting endlessly because their elder sisters couldn't find husbands. I banned it. Any daughter can marry now. First, last, or middle. Doesn't matter. Alexandra's heart nearly jumped out of his chest. Are you serious? Very serious, the king said. That rubbish is gone. Nobody can use it as an excuse again. Don't worry, I'll send word to the whole village myself. That marriage must go on. No one will stop true love while I'm on this throne. The three of them laughed, shared palm wine, and caught up like old brothers. Later that evening, Alexandra and Mr. Cole returned to Sandra's house. Sandra and her mother were waiting anxiously at the gate. Alexandra wasted no time. Your father tried to stop me. He said I should either marry Janet as well or wait for her to find a husband. Sandra gasped. He said what? Her mother covered her mouth in shock. This man will not kill me one day, but Mr. Cole added, his smile wide. We went to see my old schoolmate, the king of this land. He confirmed the tradition is dead and buried. Sandra, you can marry. First or second, it doesn't matter. Sandra's eyes widened with joy. For real? Alexandra nodded. For real. Which means nothing stands in our way anymore. The wedding begins now. Sandra screamed in excitement, hugged him so tightly he could barely breathe, and laughed through her tears. Her mother danced around the compound, praising God loudly. Alexandra looked deep into Sandra's eyes. We fought too many battles, Sandra, but nothing, absolutely nothing can stop us now. Let's get married. 2 days later, just as Sandra's father was still pretending to be busy with his farm tools he hadn't touched in weeks, a royal messenger showed up at his compound. The man wasn't smiling. He held out a sealed letter marked with the king's symbol. His Royal Majesty has summoned you, the messenger declared in that usual pompous tone only messengers use when they feel like mini kings. Sandra's father blinked. Me? The king? What for? But the messenger didn't waste saliva. He simply repeated, appear before the throne tomorrow, before noon. Don't be late. Then he turned around and walked away like he owned the entire street. That night, Sandra's father didn't sleep. His mind ran wild. Had the king finally discovered how he treated his wife? He tried to convince himself maybe the king just wanted to share palm wine with him. Ha! Who was he deceiving? The next morning, he dressed in his best native attire, the one Stella ironed to show off during last Christmas, but now looked like it had seen war. With shaky legs, he made his way to the palace. Inside the grand hall, the king sat on his golden throne, crown glittering, robe flowing like a river of wealth. Guards lined both sides, carrying spears taller than Sandra's father's ego. Kneel, one guard barked. Sandra's father went down faster than a chicken dodging hot water. The king's voice thundered across the hall. I have heard of your behavior, and I am not impressed. A noble young man came to marry your daughter, and you had the audacity to stop it with a dead custom that has no place here. Sandra's father tried to speak. Your Majesty, Silence. The king's voice cut sharper than a razor. That tradition was cancelled over 2 years ago. Every daughter has the right to marry for love. Not because her father wants to play village champion. Sandra's father lowered his head. Shame was now his second skin. Listen carefully, the king continued. Accept Alexandra and bless your daughter's marriage, or prepare to face the full wrath of the throne. I will not allow your arrogance to destroy what the gods have already blessed. Sandra's father swallowed hard. Yes, your Majesty, I accept. Good. Now go home, bless your daughter, and stop disgracing yourself before I personally teach you humility. Sandra's father didn't need to be told twice. He ran out of that palace like a goat chased with hot pepper. That same week, wedding bells began ringing. Alexandra and Sandra could finally breathe. Their love story, once blocked by ego and wickedness, was now spreading like wildfire. The ceremony? Grand, beautiful. The kind of wedding that makes neighbors jealous and gossipers choke on their own saliva. Guests came from near and far, their clothes shining brighter than their futures. The music rolled, the food flowed, and the decorations sparkled as if the heavens had sprinkled stars on the venue. Sandra wore a stunning white gown that made her look like an angel who decided to settle on Earth. Alexandra stood tall in elegant native attire, holding her hand like she was the only treasure worth guarding. Alexandra and Sandra's mother cried tears of joy. Even Sandra's father, who had once acted like a stubborn ram, humbled himself and came forward. He whispered to Alexandra, I was blind, but thank you for not giving up. Alexandra smiled. She's worth everything. After the wedding, Alexandra wasted no time. He moved Sandra's mother straight to the city into a mansion so fine it made Sandra's father's house look like a chicken coop. Shiny floors, soft beds, flowers in the garden, and a kitchen big enough to cook for an army. Alexandra even got her own room, fitted with everything Finally, peace had found Sandra's family. But while Sandra and her mother enjoyed this new life, Stella and her daughter Janet were boiling with rage back in the village. "How can this nonsense happen?" Stella roared, throwing her wrapper to the ground. "That dirty girl is now in a mansion living with a billionaire." Janet clenched her fists. "It should be me, Mama, me." Stella turned on Sandra's father like a lioness. "You foolish man. You should have forced Alexandra to marry both daughters. Now see how you've destroyed my plans." Sandra's father, tired of Stella's constant nagging, finally exploded. He stood up and shouted so loud, even the lizards on the fence jumped.
Shut up, woman!
Stella froze. Janet gasped. "You evil woman," he spat. "You turned me against my real wife and daughter. You poisoned me with pride until I chased away the people who truly loved me. I regret the day I married you." Janet tried to intervene. "Daddy, don't daddy me," he roared. "You and your mother are the reason I lost everything. Leave Sandra and her mother alone. Let them enjoy the peace you both never allowed me to have." For the first time, Stella was speechless. But bitterness ran deep in her bones. That same night, she and Janet packed a small bag and sneaked away, boarding a rickety night bus to another village. "If words can't stop them," Stella hissed, "we'll use charms. Alexandra and Sandra must disappear. Then Michael will return for you, Janet." Janet nodded. "Yes, Mama, we have no choice." The bus groaned along a dark, stormy road. Rain poured heavily, thunder crashed, and the night grew darker. But evil never goes unpunished. As the bus took a sharp bend on a slippery hill, the driver lost control. Tires screamed, passengers shouted, and in seconds, the bus rolled down the hill like a toy. By morning, the news had spread. Only 2 passengers didn't make it. Stella and Janet. They died instantly. 2 weeks later, Sandra's father could no longer stand the silence in his home. No Stella, no Janet, no noise, no drama, just emptiness. One afternoon, he sat under the mango tree where he once insulted Alexandra, but now he sat crying. "He was right all along," he whispered, "and I was the fool." The weight of regret became too heavy, so he dressed in his best clothes and travelled to the city. He didn't bring a gift, just his guilt and a silent prayer. At Alexandra's mansion, he knocked at the gate. "I am Sandra's father. Please tell her mother I am here." Minutes later, Anita walked out, calm, poised, strong, arms folded. She stopped a few steps away from him. Immediately, he dropped to his knees. "Please forgive me. I was a fool. I let pride, tradition, and a wicked woman destroy us. I lost you, Anita. I lost Sandra. I have nothing left. Let us start over. Please come back to me." Anita stared at him, her face unreadable. Then she spoke, her voice firm. "Never." He blinked. "What?" "Please, I'm not the same man anymore." She shook her head. "No. You are the same man, just weaker now. You're only here because the people you chose over me are gone. You didn't come back because you love me. You came back because you are lonely." Her words cut deeper than a blade. "You had a good woman," she continued, stepping closer, "and you threw her away. You had a loving daughter, and you called her useless. You don't deserve to return to the peace you destroyed." Tears streamed down his face. "Please, I have nothing." Anita turned toward the house. "And I now have everything. Peace, love, and a real family. Go back home. Live with your regrets." She walked inside, leaving him at the gate, crying like a lost child. 1 year later, God blessed Sandra and Alexander with twin boys, Charles and Rex. Their home echoed with laughter, baby cries, and joy. Alexandra kissed Sandra's forehead. "You were worth every test." Sandra smiled. and you were worth every tear. Anita rocked her grandsons gently, humming songs from her childhood. At last, peace had returned. The storm was over. From rejection to celebration, from disgrace to grace, love had won. And they lived happily ever after. Here's your closing message, exactly as you gave it, with no edits. Hello viewers, thank you so much for watching today's story. True love isn't about wealth, fancy cars, or the size of someone's mansion. It's about how a person treats you when you have nothing to give back. Pride and arrogance can make you lose diamonds while chasing pebbles. But humility and kindness will open doors no money can ever buy. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video, besties.